Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. In recent years, concerns have intensified over Iran's expanding influence within Iraq and the broader implications this could have, not only for Iraq's fragile sovereignty but also for minority communities, particularly Iraqi Christians. While the Iraqi Christian population has been shrinking for decades due to conflict, persecution, and economic instability, new fears are emerging that a surge in Iranian-backed political and militia control could trigger a mass exodus, potentially finishing what years of war and unrest have already started. Historically, Iraq was once home to a vibrant and diverse Christian population that included Chaldeans, Assyrians, Armenians, and other denominations, many of whom trace their roots back to the earliest days of Christianity. For generations, these communities coexisted with Iraq's Muslim majority, contributing to the cultural and intellectual fabric of the nation. Baghdad, Mosul, Karakosh, and other areas of Nineveh once held thriving Christian populations. However, successive waves of instability, from the fall of Saddam Hussein, to the rise of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, to the current geopolitical entanglements, have turned Iraq into a hostile environment for Christians and other minorities. Their churches have been bombed, their homes seized, their families torn apart. The situation took an even darker turn after the defeat of ISIS. While the world celebrated the militant group's territorial collapse, what followed was a power vacuum that was quickly filled by Iranian-backed Shiite militias, known as the Popular Mobilization Forces, PMF. Although these groups initially presented themselves as national defenders against terrorism, they soon morphed into political and economic stakeholders, often pursuing sectarian interests. Many of these militias have been accused of human rights violations and of intimidating or forcibly displacing minorities in territories they control. For Iraq's Christian population, already traumatized by ISIS, the PMF's growing power is a cause for serious concern. This increasing dominance of Iran-aligned forces within Iraq's security, political, and economic landscape is viewed by many, both inside and outside the country, as a form of soft occupation. For Iraqi Christians, the signs are unmistakable. Neighborhoods that once housed Christian families now see foreign banners, slogans, and images glorifying Iranian leaders. Reports of extortion, land grabs, and coerced conversions are surfacing more frequently. Churches are under surveillance, and outspoken Christian leaders who demand rights or protection face intimidation. While some Christians have tried to organize politically or seek representation within Iraq's parliamentary system, these efforts are often undermined by the overwhelming influence of the Iran-backed factions who manipulate voting blocs and suppress dissent. To the global community, and particularly to Western observers, this is not just a humanitarian issue, it is a geopolitical flashpoint. It ties directly into broader conversations about religious freedom, minority protection, and the strategic tug-of-war in the Middle East. Nowhere is this concern more potent than among conservative American circles, where the protection of Christians abroad remains a passionate issue. Former President Donald Trump, a polarizing but undeniably influential figure, has made religious liberty, especially Christian rights, a cornerstone of his domestic and foreign policy narrative. His past actions reflect a willingness to confront perceived religious persecution with decisive, often harsh responses, including sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and even threats of military force. There's also the matter of regional reaction. If Trump's administration or political movement were to focus on Iraqi Christians as victims of Iranian overreach, it could ignite broader religious and political tensions across the Middle East. Lebanon, Syria, and even parts of Turkey could be drawn into the conversation. Iran might respond provocatively, threatening U.S. forces still stationed in Iraq or expanding its regional influence more aggressively. Israel, another key player, might also weigh in, particularly if the issue becomes one of strategic defense against Iranian proxies. Moreover, this isn't just a political or military issue, it's an emotional and spiritual one for many Americans. Images of bombed churches, terrified Christian families fleeing towns, or armed militias harassing clergy can quickly go viral and evoke deep emotional responses. Trump, a master of leveraging media narratives, would likely use these visuals to justify hardline action. His speeches could be filled with impassioned appeals to protect Christianity from foreign tyranny, reminiscent of his rhetoric regarding persecuted Christians in Syria or Egypt. Religious freedom, when intertwined with nationalism, becomes a powerful force in American politics, and one that Trump knows how to wield. For Iraq, this is not just about avoiding American wrath. It is about upholding the constitutional promise of equal citizenship, reaffirming that Iraq is not a nation owned by one sect or beholden to one foreign patron. It's about demonstrating that post-Saddam, post-ISIS Iraq is a country for all Iraqis, regardless of faith. It's about protecting one of the oldest Christian communities on earth and preventing its complete erasure. And yes, it is also about geopolitics, ensuring that Iraq remains a sovereign actor, not a battlefield for Iranian ambitions or American vengeance. The future hangs in the balance. As global attention increasingly returns to Iraq, through its attempts to join the World Trade Organization, its efforts to reform the banking system, and its push for modernization, it cannot afford another round of sanctions or military confrontation. Protecting Christians is not just a moral imperative but a strategic necessity. It sends a message to the world that Iraq can protect minorities, uphold rights, and reject domination by any foreign power. But that window is closing. The Christian community in Iraq is dwindling, and every year the threats grow more pronounced. If Iran-backed groups continue unchecked, and if Iraq's government fails to act, the consequences could be catastrophic. And if Donald Trump returns to the White House or even simply influences U.S. policy through his party and public platform, there's little doubt he will respond with the full force of his conviction. He has made clear, both in speeches and in action, that attacks on Christians are a red line. If that line is crossed in Iraq, the results could be sweeping and severe. In the best-case scenario, Iraq wakes up to this danger and acts decisively to defend its Christian citizens, asserting national unity over sectarian division. In the worst-case scenario, the world watches another ancient community vanish while Iraq descends into renewed economic and political turmoil, this time not under ISIS, but under the shadow of Iran and the weight of American retribution. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed and stay ready.